with your free time to affect the lives of people, there's nothing better in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. Next icebreaker question. If you could live anywhere in the U.S., where would you live and why? Josh, thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Josh, and the question is, if you could live anywhere in the U.S., where would you live and why? I would live in San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco once. I stayed for a week. I went out there for 1 day of work and 6 days of vacation, and I absolutely love the city. The hills would be challenging on any vehicle, but a lot of people ride bikes, a lot of people walk, a lot of people take public transportation. I think that San Francisco is a mecca in the world right now for technological innovation, and it's something really interesting to be a part of, and that the people and the culture, there was such an influence on community and organic products and being healthy and working out and going to the gym. I would also like to be in San Francisco because it's 75 degrees out pretty much most of the year. And here in New England, we see sunshine one day, snow the next, rain, and it's extremely turbulent. So it would be a nice change of pace to have nice weather to look forward to every day when you get out of bed. So, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Next icebreaker question. How big is your family? Krista.
Hello, my name is Krista Schindler. The question is, how big is your family? I actually don't know because I'm adopted, so I could have brothers and sisters and cousins that I don't know about. What's interesting about me is both my sister and I are adopted. I'm only adopted from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not too exotic, not too fun. My sister, however, is adopted from Moscow, Russia. If you've ever done adoption, then you'll know that adopting out of the country is a lot more expensive. So not only is my sister more interesting than me, she's actually more expensive than me. Being adopted opens up your mind to what constitutes a family, so it's not just biological. I got used to that idea very young. And in fact, now I've recruited a lot of people into my family. I have people out in Albany, New York, a lot of older individuals, moms, figures that have, quote unquote, adopted me into their family. So my family is the entire universe.
Thank you, Krista. Next icebreaker question. What was something fun you did this summer? Adam. Welcome.
Thanks, Michael. I had a really fun summer. It was a little unusual. I had a little time off after grad school, but before starting a real job. And I took the opportunity to travel and to work a little bit in the professional sports industry. While I was traveling, I had the chance to visit Pamplona for the running of the bulls. Now, I didn't know much about it before I got there. I thought it was this thing we saw on TV and heard about in the news every now and then. I didn't realize that the bulls are run every day for more than 5 days. I think it's 6 or 7. Every morning at 8 a.m., 6 bulls and 8 oxen are released into the corrals of Pamplona, where they run at full speed for half a mile, and they finish up in a stadium. So I thought, well, this sounds fun. I showed up and got in the corral. I didn't check it out beforehand because I thought that if I did, I might get scared and not follow through. So I'm in the corral. They fire a cannon and the bulls are released. And I'm running along, and things are good. Running along, things are good. And then all of a sudden, someone behind me yells, "Bull!" I run a little faster. And someone says, "They're still coming." So I dive out of the way, and this whole corral of bulls runs right by me. And I'm like, "Oh, wow, that was terrifying." But there's still only one way out of here. So I pop back into the corral, and I start running again. And I was like, wait, how many were there? As I'm running into the stadium, the same phenomenon repeats itself. Someone behind me yells, "Bull!" But I knew what to do this time. I dove out of the way a little sooner and managed to get into the stadium without getting gored. I learned later that day that a strange thing happens in the running of the bulls. It seems that only Americans get gored. 3 Americans were hit by bulls that day out of the 1,500 or so people from all over the world who came to participate in this event. So that was just one of the many fun things I got to do this summer, and I'm glad I had a chance to share that little story.
Thank you, Adam. Next icebreaker question. What happened and where were you the first time you were truly out of your element? Josh?
Thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. What happened and where were you the first time you were truly out of your element? So this was about 2 years ago, and I was approaching New Year's, and I decided that I wanted to see the ball drop in New York City because it was something that I'd watch with my family on television every year, and you see all the people in the crowd, and it was something I wanted to do. So I didn't book a hotel. I didn't book a flight. I booked a bus the day of, and I arrived in New York City at 10:30 p.m. When I got out of Penn Station, I walked into a swarm of people with police officers in the blocked off roads, just directing people. You didn't have a choice. You walked out, and they told you where to go. I had never been to New York City before. I had never been to a city the size of New York City before, and it was a little frightening. You're just a little fish in this enormous sea of people and skyscrapers and TVs. So I made my way around the crowd, and I made a few friends. It was a group of girls that were from Sweden and Germany. They were au pairs from Pennsylvania, and they'd taken the train in. So we tried to find a place to see the ball, and turns out if you're not VIP or you haven't been standing there since 10:30 in the morning, you can't see the ball. And what happened is we just saw a place near where the ball was dropped, and the crowd erupts, and it was a great time. What happened after that is when I truly was out of my element because I didn't have a place to stay, and my bus wasn't back. My bus wasn't leaving back to Providence until 11 in the morning. So I stayed at a bar until they closed, which conveniently in New York is like 4 or 5 a.m. And then I did what I thought was the best course of action, which was to rent a city bike and ride around. Because I still had a little bit of energy left until that was over, and I needed to sleep. So what do? I walked into a McDonald's, and there was plenty of people sleeping in there, so I decided to join them. Until the guy that worked there politely asked me to look at the sign that says, "You're not supposed to sleep here." But it wasn't kicking me out. He was just politely reminding me not to sleep. So the second time he did that, I knew I'd overstayed my welcome. And I continued my journey to look for my bus home. And when you look for your bus in a train station, they treat you like a crazy person. And that was the next time I was truly out of my element, because I was just sitting Indian style outside of this train station as the sun was coming up in New York City, and I'm a suburban boy from Massachusetts, and a homeless man that I said Happy New Year to brought me to the bus station that I needed to go to, and that guy was awesome. We had a great conversation, and that is my story. So.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Josh. Our next icebreaker question. What is one thing on your bucket list, and why is it there? Mary.
Thank you, Michael. I'm Mary Shavs, and the question is, what's one thing on my bucket list and why? Well, it may surprise you to know that I would like to appear on the Moth Radio Hour on NPR. I know you may be shocked. This is very high. It's a stretch, but I think I can do it, and I listen to people tell stories, and I just want to be part of that. I want to be part of that storytelling. I want my voice to be out on the radio waves, and maybe somebody driving 20 miles past their exit, listening to something about my life, or that I say is about my life, because I often wonder, a story is a story. They don't always tell the exact truth. Maybe life as we perceive it or wish it to be. So that is on my bucket list. I will check that off, should I live to be long enough. And I hope you all remember my name, Mary Shabs, the Moth Radio Hour. You can hear me on NPR. Not anytime really soon, but please keep listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I like that ad. It's kind of, we call that forward pacing in the self-help industry. That's great. I love it. So for our next question, what do you imagine yourself doing 10 years from now? Laura.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, I'm Laura. What could I imagine myself doing 10 years from now? Well, 10 years from now, I hope I will not be working at a paid job at a desk, which I've been doing for the last umpteen years. What I'd like to be doing, or what I could see myself doing, is painting or doing some kind of art. I love to paint. I'm not trained. I want to be creative, and that's something that's been missing all my life, really, and I've dabbled in it. I've done spur-of-the-moment paintings of my dog, spur-of-the-moment paintings of landscapes, which end up I turn them over and they become partial nudes, body parts, whatever. So I'd like to continue in that vein, doing art. And I sort of have this fantasy of becoming an artist that actually makes money by selling art. And I don't know if 10 years from now I'll be able to do that, but that would be something I'm hoping to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'm going to hand over the podium to Ann Shadell, who's going to do a few minutes of table topics. And Ann, welcome to the podium. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael. It's exciting to be here. My first question is this. For any of you who may have a literary background, a little knowledge in the ways of Shakespeare, is it truly better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all? Jojo, why don't you come up and answer that?
Okay.
All right.
Hi, I'm JoJo. Wow, what a question. Is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? The answer is yes, it's better to have loved and lost. I am now in a relationship after 19 years, which is pretty mind-blowing, that I basically felt very safe haven being with my mother all the time, who recently passed away. And so now I have this open gap, and recently I met this young man, and it's an interesting journey, and I often think about that question. What if this person is not in my life, and I lose this person? And I said, I'm going to be okay, because it is so mind-blowing to be in love. it is mind-blowing because there are parts of your mind and your body that I don't know how to even say it. It's a runner's high. You have all these endorphins that get released. And I was talking to a doctor recently, and I'm saying, geez, I got a question to ask you because I am so out of the loop. But they talk about chemistry with a person. And when you feel that chemistry where everything's moving inside your body, is that it seems like it's a really good thing. And the doctor said, oh yeah, that's really chemistry at its finest. So the answer is, yeah. Here's to love. Woo! So I want to sing a song, okay? It's a very short song. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he traveled very far over land and sea, a little shy and sad of eyes, but very wise was he. And then one day, a special day, he passed my way. And while he spoke of many things, moons and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anyone else have shivers? Thank you so much for sharing that with us, JoJo.
Thank you.
Okay. I personally am someone who loves dreams. I love to dream, to think about my dreams, ponder them, and I love to hear other people's dreams. So my next question, any guesses? What do you dream about? Laura, please come on up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura. What do I dream about? Well, I'm going to tell you a dream that I've had that's some of you know what a recurring dream is, and sometimes they're good dreams and sometimes they're not. The dream that I have that's somewhat recurring is that I'm getting married. I'm all decked out. I'm ready to go, and I get to the church and I have no idea who I'm marrying. That's the first version of this recurring dream. The second version is I'm getting married again, and I'm remarrying my ex-husband. So there's this recurring theme that I'm either getting married to someone I've already known, I don't know who I'm going to marry, or I'm getting married and I know I'm supposed to be there. This is the third version. Know I'm supposed to be at the church, but I don't know what time, and I'm panicked. Those are that's a theme I've had going on for a long time. And now it's been a while since I've had that dream. I hope I don't have it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Well, hopefully we can avoid those recurring dreams. What do you understand today about your life that you did not understand a year ago? Any new thoughts and understandings? Deb, please come on up and share it.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Deb. What do I understand about my life today that I didn't understand a year ago? I understand that life's a journey, that we might not know where our life is going as it's happening, but we have to follow it over time. I understand that things that I did when I was younger, or things that happened to me when I was younger, decisions that I made, that I beat myself up for then, fit into this bigger pattern of my life. So I wouldn't be where I am today, which is loving what I do, loving the people I work with, feeling like I have a purpose in life, without having experienced all of the crap of my younger years. And it's taken me a while to understand that. I'll share a quick anecdote. I recently was interviewed on a radio program, and I happen to be a physician by training. The person interviewing me said, "Wouldn't it have been easier and wouldn't you have made a lot more money if you had just stayed and been a doctor rather than changed careers to be a coach?" And I looked at him, I said, "Well, maybe, but our life is never a straight line. It's never linear. We all have a journey, and I had to go through that to get to this awesome place where I am now." And I felt sorry for him that he wasn't able to see that we are all on a journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. I hope you all continue on your journeys. And to change topics slightly, and perhaps delve into a little bit of the things that we all think about as kids. Why do we idolize sports players? Krista, thanks for volunteering.
My name is Krista. The question is, why do we idolize sport figures? Quite obviously, because they're choosing to do something out of their comfort zone. At least that's how I feel about athleticism. Whether it's a boxer or a football player or it's a distance runner, I always see it as someone working toward, I want to be uncomfortable. Where the natural flow of life, and I think society says we should be comfortable. Happiness is equated with comfort. So whenever you take on a goal like these individuals have, and it's taken a number of years to work toward, it was all about being uncomfortable.
Thank you, Krista. Let's do another one. What is one opportunity you believed you missed out on when you were younger? Oh, Ian? Thank you.
I actually used to think about this as a young child. What if I found a time machine and I could go back and tell that kid off as he was saying things to me and I just didn't have the words? What if I could go back and know that, yes, you would be fine if you just started dancing in the middle of this party and not be so awkward and shy? I used to think about those things, and the truth is, as of yet, I have not found a time machine. I don't know of anyone who has. But I think there's something great about being able to see into the future and realize that 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, a day from now, I would be able to think back and wish that I could act in a certain way. And when you are able to think that way and act right now in the way that you will wish that you had, that will open up so many possibilities for your life. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. And I'd like to welcome back to the podium the president of the Boston chapter of Toastmasters, Michael McCarthy.
Thank you, Adam. So we only have 3 minutes left in our show. However, when TV land goes away, we're going to just keep talking, keep continuing, because I'm loving everything everyone's saying. I have a question for all of you. First hand that goes up gets to answer this. If you could go back in time and change any piece of history, what would it be and why? Rohit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rohit, and to give you a little context for this story, I grew up as my parents are immigrants from India, and my dad actually lived through the partition of India and Pakistan. We're Hindus, but but he grew up in what's now Pakistan, and in 1947, when India and Pakistan were separated after they got independence from England, they were he was, I think, 3 years old at the time, and he and his family had to go across the border and leave everything they had and go to India, and go to what's now India. So if there's one thing that I could change in history, it would be that after India got independence from the UK, from Britain, that there was a way that India and Pakistan could have stayed as one country and lived in and kind of began an independent life as one country with Hindus and Muslims living together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. And for all of our TV viewers, if you'd like to be a guest at Boston Copley Toastmasters, please just Google Boston Copley Toastmasters and join us Tuesdays 12 to 1. For our next question, there is a relative, the relative's you, but it was you as a child, years and years ago. Imagine you can go back to your former self as a younger person at a crucial point in your life and give yourself advice. What was the crucial moment, and what would you advise your former self to do? Jojo.
Thank you. I'm looking at your shoes with the toes. Oh my goodness. I'm JoJo, and it's what would you advise yourself to go back in a former life to give yourself advice? Well, being a woman or being a young girl growing up, women, we have a lot of issues with the way we feel about ourselves, and because women, when we're girls, we are very hard on ourselves. We think that we're not good enough, we don't look good enough, we don't sound good enough, we just don't have that self-confidence. Anyway, I know that's the way it was with me, and I see that with a lot of women today. They just have a bad self-image. So what I would do if I had the chance to go back is I would tell myself that I am worthy, that I am special, and I am good enough. And I would make sure that I would get it on every single level because I wasted so much time not feeling good enough. And it's all wasted energy. And that's all I can say. And being a woman, I see the woman nodding. We have all been there because this is a man's world. Okay? It's a man's world. However, it's becoming more of a woman's world. Okay? So I'm just saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. I think you're right that it is becoming a woman's world because the greatest amount of wealth in the United States is held by females. Over 50% of the nation's wealth is in majority by females. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of inspiration and some advice from older people, centenarians. Centenarians were interviewed. What is your greatest regret? Needless worry. If you worry too much, and I could win an Olympic medal in that, there's a book called How to Stop Worrying and How to Start Living. It was so good.